Hey everyone, this is a 6-minute tutorial on how to change a motorcycle or scooter tire and also an oil change. You're going to need a few tools. Here's a list of the tools that you'll need. You'll need 5 different things. For step 1, you're going to need to warm up the bike for about 5 minutes. Shut off the bike after 5 minutes have passed and prepare to remove the bolt. For step 2, go ahead and remove the bolt. You don't need to use a torque wrench to remove bolts. I just use it because I didn't have my other tools at the ready. It does offer more leverage to break bolts though with a torque wrench. It's important to use a torque wrench to avoid over tightening bolts or you'll risk them coming loose later. It'll save you from a ton of problems down the line. Go ahead and remove it and put it to the side to let the oil drain properly. On my scooter I have an oil filter and a metal spring that goes around it, as well as an O-ring to keep the oil from leaking out. For step 3, go ahead and inspect everything and clean off the oil filter. Take this time to inspect any plastics such as O-rings and replace anything that's chipped or damaged. You'll know it's time to replace your O-rings if they lose their flexibility, become stiff or brittle, and no longer retain their original shape. When you're finished with that, make sure to reassemble everything in the correct order. For step 4, adjust your torque wrench to the proper specification. You can tighten it without a torque wrench, but you risk damaging or under tightening the bolt. Overall, it's usually pretty expensive replacing these parts, and there's not many aftermarket parts for things that are not cosmetic or electrical. Remember to clean up areas that are dirty. Also take this time to inspect for leaks or loose bolts. For step 5, measure out and add your oil. I measure mine in a separate container because it's only labeled for every liter and quart and nothing in between that. So I convert mine from quarts to cups. Go ahead and clean up the area and then reassemble everything. For the tire removal, it's a little bit more complex. You'll need to unscrew the speedometer cable, break the front axle bolt, and remove additional parts. And you'll also need to add a counterweight at the rear of the bike to lift up the front tire once you remove that axle bolt. Make sure to secure the bolt on the other side of the wheel with a wrench or socket wrench because the axle will rotate instead of loosening. Once you loosen it enough, put the counterweight on the back of the bike and remove the axle. Take any parts and put them aside. Make sure not to lose anything. Here's everything that came off the front of my tire, including the speedometer gauge. To reassemble the tire, you're just going to need to put everything back on the tire before trying to place the tire back on the axle. Sometimes you won't be able to slide those parts on because something's usually in the way. So go ahead and put everything back on the tire before trying to fit it back on the axle. Try to align everything and work the axle through the tire. I squeezed something under my tire to hold it in place as I aligned everything. For this, you're going to need a torque wrench. I advise you not to tighten any tire on a bike without a torque wrench, or you'll risk it coming off, or you can damage the bearings within the tire if you over tighten it. So remember to get a torque wrench to complete this job. Remember to listen for the click the wrench gives off so you know you put the correct amount of pounds into tightening the bolt. Also, don't forget to put your speedometer cable back on as well. And there you go, you're pretty much done. And this was a quick tutorial on how to do an oil change and remove your front tire on your bike. Thanks for joining me. Go ahead, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. It will really help me out in the end. Also remember to have a great day or night.